Today we're on the road with Roger, and I'm on my way to my house to read you a story about real estate. This is a book that my mom read to me when I was a little boy, and ironically now as I'm selling real estate, there's a lot of common things with this storyline, and as I'm working with buyers, showing them homes to purchase. It's called Jenny Wren's New House. Welcome back, Johnny. Glad to see you. Johnny Wren looked around Farmer Brown's apple orchard. It was full of birds, all busily singing and building nests. Catbirds, thrushes, chickadees, and mockingbirds were flying up and down with bits of string and grass in their bills. "Hello, Johnny," chirped Charlie Chickadee. "Where's Jenny?" "In Mexico," Johnny answered. "She'll be along as soon as I find a place for us to live." "Tell you what," said Charlie, "there is a nice hole right in this tree. Why don't you fly up and look at it?" "Thanks, I will," Johnny replied, and up he flew. But whoever had lived there before had left the hole in a terrible state. Chips and sawdust covered the floor. "Well, I guess I can clean it up," Johnny said to himself, and the rest of the day he was very busy throwing out the chips and sawdust and bringing in twigs to make a nest. "There, I hope Jenny will like that," Johnny said at last. The nest looked very neat, but you never could tell about Jenny. Just in case she didn't like it, perhaps he had better build another nest somewhere else. But where should it be? There were so many good places that he couldn't decide which Jenny would like best. Finally, he built fine nests in every one of them. He was just putting the last twig on the last nest when he heard a chirp, and Jenny alighted nearby. "My goodness, what a long trip! I thought I'd never get here," she smoothed over her ruffled brown feathers. "Have you found a place for us to live?" "I've found 5 places," replied Johnny proudly, "and I'll show you." First he led her to the hole in the tree, but Jenny took one look at it and turned up her bill. "Too dark," she said fuzzily. "I like more light." Then he showed her the nest in the fork of a tree. "Too high," said Jenny. "High places make me dizzy." Next he showed her the nest in a pail lying in the pasture. "Too low," she said scornfully. "I'm sure it would be damp." Johnny was getting worried. "Follow me," he said, and he flew down to the cornfield where Farmer Brown's old coat was draped over a fence post. Johnny showed Jenny the open pocket, which he had cleverly filled with twigs. "How do you like that?" he asked hopefully. "Not at all," replied Jenny. "Farmer Brown might come back and put his coat on. I never did like a moving house." Johnny hopped down the fence to a nice thick bush heap. "Here is the perfect place for our nest," he said, but before he could show her the one he had built, a bright-eyed snake glided out of the tall grass. The 2 little birds darted swiftly away. "Well," said Johnny, when they were safe, "I guess that won't do it either." "Never mind, dear," said Jenny, for he looked very sad. "Perhaps we can find a place near Farmer Brown's house. Then if we run out of food, I can borrow a bit from him. Let's fly over to the yard and look." So they flew over the yard and up and down around the white farmhouse. Then Jenny cried, "Johnny, do you see what I see?" There, fastened to the maple tree, was a little brown house. It had a sign on it. The sign said, "To rent for a song." Jenny struck her head in to the door. It was empty. "This is the place where I want to live," she said happily. Jenny couldn't wait to move in. Soon the nest was lined and she was settled down upon it to stay. Johnny went out to find them something to eat. When he got back, Jenny said proudly, "I have something to show you, Johnny." She lifted up her wing, and there in the nest lay one little speckled egg. After that, Johnny was kept very busy bringing insects to Jenny. Soon there were 9 little eggs in the nest. One day, as Johnny flew up, he saw Sammy Sparrow alight on his front porch. "This is a nice little house," said Sammy Sparrow. "I think I'll move in." "You can't," said Johnny bravely, for Sammy was bigger and very mean. "It belongs to us." "You can just move out," replied Sammy. "I like it, and I'm going to move in." And with that, he put his head through the tiny hole. Jenny shrieked for help. Sammy pushed further into the hole. Then suddenly he began to shriek too, for he was stuck. The hole was too small for his fat, round self. He couldn't get in and he couldn't get out. Jenny hopped up and down in excitement and pecked at Sammy's head. Outside, Johnny was pecking at his tail. "Help! Help!" shrieked Sammy. Just then Farmer Brown came across the yard. He looked up at the Wren house and smiled. "Somebody is living in our house," he said, "but they seem to be having trouble." He brought a long ladder and climbed up to the little house. So it's Sammy Sparrow trying to get in where he doesn't belong. He pulled Sammy out of the hole and let him go. Sammy was so frightened that he flew out and never came back. Farmer Brown peeked into the house. "Hope you like it here," he told Jenny, and climbed down the ladder. "My goodness," chirped Jenny, "that Sammy Sparrow nearly scared the whole family to death." "The whole family? What could she mean?" Johnny hopped into the house. "Look," said Jenny. She lifted her wing, and there, cuddled down in the nest, were 9 little yellow-mouthed fuzzy baby wrens. "I think they look just like you," said Jenny. Suddenly, Johnny felt very proud and happy. He stood on the front porch of his house, threw back his head, and burst into song. And Farmer Brown thought he had never heard a sweeter song anywhere than the one that Johnny sang outside Jenny Wren's new house. So that's what house hunting is like, and similar to my story that I had as a child. Thanks for coming on the road with Roger, and I look forward to hearing from you and maybe your stories down the road. Thanks for coming.